Hi, this is Isabel Litzler. Welcome to my channel, and today I want to give you some information about working in Zurich. So I will give you 3 tips today on how to look for a job in Zurich. So the first thing is really to look at the preparing your expatriation. So make sure that you understand a little bit the context of what you're getting into. This is something that a lot of expats don't do enough of. I would really suggest that you prepare this expatriation much longer before the due date, so that you understand the context, you understand what's needed. So a big surprise that a lot of expats face when they come to Switzerland is the need for the local languages and the fact that English doesn't take you very far. So in most countries, if you speak English, you will probably be able to find very good opportunities. This can be the case in Switzerland, but still the local languages, so Swiss German for Zurich, would be quite important. So make sure that you take this into account. If you don't speak German, be willing and ready to learn the language. So even if you don't get to perfect mastery level quickly, at least show that you have this intention to learn the language. This is always a plus with employers. They want people to integrate in the local culture, so they want you to be ready to embrace the full spectrum of the languages and the local habits and so forth. So really this part about preparing the expatriation is quite important. I also suggest that you come to Switzerland for a few visits before you make the decision, because the cost of living is quite high. So Zurich is one of the most expensive cities. It's quite nice in terms of lifestyle, but it's also quite costly. So you will need a job that pays well enough to sustain your expenses. So a lot of expats want to come and work odd jobs, but just know that the rent over there is expensive, the food is expensive, so you need to have a good job to really sustain yourself in Zurich. So that's number 1, prepare your expatriation. Number 2 is to study the local job market. That's number 2. So once you understand a little bit the context, the culture, how things work, maybe you've made a few visits, what you want to do is understand on the job boards which jobs are actually recruiting. And this is also a mistake that a lot of expats make, is that they come with their skills and they think, I've been able to find a job pretty much everywhere up until now. There's no reason why I shouldn't find a job in Zurich. The problem is that in Zurich, it's a very typical market. You have the finance sector, the fintech. You also have a lot of international companies, but they tend to want German as well as the spoken language. So you will have a whole part of the market that you won't be able to tap into immediately, because the language, the working language, will be Swiss German. So you will be left with the English-speaking jobs, which a lot of expats are competing for. So just understand a little bit which jobs would be available to you if you were to move. So looking at the job markets, finding out which companies are out there. Is your field of work represented with international companies there? Is there any way for you to find if there's a job for you already before you come? So make sure there's a market. It doesn't mean that the job openings are there at the moment, but at least make sure that there's enough of a market for you to move. If you find that there's no market for you, maybe you are non-typical profiles, which a lot of expats are, you will probably have to train yourself in something different. So just be also willing to train yourself. So how do you find about the market? Well, that leads me to my tip number 3, is that you need to look at job boards. This is where you find, get a flavor at least on the market. So job boards like Indeed.ch, you also have jobs.ch, and I will list them below so that you can check which jobs are out there and do your study. I always advise people to look broadly, so don't just pick Zurich as the city of search, put Switzerland, because you may find that some jobs are misplaced, and it happens all the time. They may be in the wrong category or in the wrong city. So make sure you do a full search for all jobs in Switzerland in all categories. This way you're not missing out, there's no dark corners when you do your search, and then you can assess whether there would be opportunities for you. If there isn't, then be willing to maybe train yourself. So that takes you to which trainings would be available to you. For that, I always suggest to do a training in Switzerland, because this will help you integrate yourself in the market. But just make sure that this training is something that you will have a job afterwards. So don't go for a fancy training just because you're interested in, let's say, cultures of the 16th century, or something really odd. Just make sure you pick something where there's really a market for it, So digital is actually going very strong in Switzerland. So if you train yourself in something linked to the web, probably your chances are bigger. I know a lot of people are facing difficulties with those really transition jobs, the functional jobs. So for example, anything in administration or in business analysis, all these jobs are actually being crunched right now because digital artificial intelligence will take over all these jobs in the near future. So I would not suggest that you go into anything that can be easily automated in the future. So if you have any questions on your expatriation to Zurich and things like that, feel free to post a comment. I will talk to you soon.